I was a junior in high school when September 11th happened. I'd already been making up my mind that I wanted to do something that wasn't school, but that really galvanized my decision. And they asked what I thought about flying, and I said, that sounds like fun. So a flight mechanic was my original contract. We were busy enough that we were flying 8 to 18 hours a night. All of our missions there were combat missions, because as soon as you're in the air, you're a target. I was on a crew that took an RPG. I was flying again 10 hours later or whatever it was. So there wasn't a whole lot of downtime to process much other than preparing for the next flight. I definitely got stuck in a hook of spending my off time getting ready for the next mission. You're responsible for $120 million worth of airplane and, more importantly, the crew on it. So I couldn't make mistakes. Mistakes for me were lethal. If you had asked me then, I would have told you I was fine and nothing was wrong. Looking back on it, I was absolutely carrying a lot of unprocessed trauma and grief. The first thing that you have to do to be self-reflective is be quiet and still. And so I think I was absolutely avoiding letting that happen. And finally, I just hit a set of circumstances in my life that led me to a slowdown. There wasn't a next mission, there wasn't a next thing to do. I found myself waking up multiple times a night at first, and I started losing weight. The worry and the stress were weighing on me heavily. I knew something was very wrong, but I didn't know what. You know, the trend in all of my jobs was being the person who shows up and fixes the emergency, and one of the rules across all of those jobs is you aren't the emergency. So whatever you came in with, you need to put away and solve, because you can't add to the chaos. You're showing up to fix something. The biggest thing that I was recognizing is that I was becoming the emergency. I needed help, but I wasn't sure what that help was or even who to ask. My ex-wife's, one of her good friends, she heard about some of the symptoms that I was exhibiting. She knew to call boot campaign and get me connected. And I still wasn't 100% convinced that anything was wrong, that this wasn't something I couldn't just lift myself out of. But they stayed persistent and helped to convince me to see the state I was in, which was maybe one of the most life-changing things that could have happened there. The general approach is to figure out all of the things that are wrong and come up with a treatment plan that helps you cross all of those problems off your list. By getting a personal diagnostic, by getting a personal path forward, a treatment plan that aimed at what I was dealing with, that was everything. It was the antidote to that panic, that internal panic I was feeling. Even just weeks in, my weight stabilized, my energy levels came up, I was sleeping. It was huge. I had started to recognize that whatever was wrong with me was wrong enough that it was going to impact my relationship with my daughter as her parent. I went from thinking it was important to teach her how to be tough and reserved and isolated and all those things to being more of a well-rounded dad. I kind of found my footing again. There's also a gratefulness that I hadn't really been in touch with before. It's worth reaching out. It's worth doing the application. The help is out there. Working with the boot campaign, that restored hope.